and guarantees that I'm the shit. I always drop a hit to keep these bitches under. They know I'm the hottest thing around when it ain't summer. A lot of bitches lame and their music is the problem. They clogging up the game, so I gotta be the plumber. I put them under the leeches on the bleachers. Bammers ain't real, everything they say get dismissed. Once you drop the guard, I'm coming.
Hello, and welcome to Queen of Space Entertainment here on KQX 108.4 FM. I'm your host, the one, the only K333N, Knowledge, Wisdom, and Understanding Nubian Queen. On this show, we showcase musicians, entrepreneurs, authors, health specialists, and all those that have a journey and knowledge to share. So, whether you're here watching us live on YouTube and Facebook, or if you're listening live here on KQX 108.4 FM, and you would like to be a special guest, please visit us at www.kqxfm.com. And if you're watching us live, the website is right below the video displayed at the bottom here. So, with all that being said, here on tonight's show, we have a very talented, gifted brother. He's a motivational coach and musician and an author that writes on mental and spiritual health and on its life-altering benefit. He is someone who believes in the power of the Bible's words when sincerely exercised and studied. Through his books, speeches, and discourses, he encourages to think and feel for self, that self-love may bloom into self-possession through the knowledge acquired from experience. This, he says, betters the personal and devotional life, not only for the person, but also for all around them. Also, we have a special treat at the end of the interview. So make sure you stay tuned and don't you leave that room. Now, let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Lynn Wood Jackson Jr. Hello.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here and to be able to interview you and talk with you. Just excited.
The intro was nice and warm too, so I feel ready, comfortable.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure just to have you here, not to only share your craft with me, but with our listeners as well, so they can hear and see you. So that's dope.
For sure. I mean, art, when you just put it with what your being is, it's just beyond us.
Yeah.
And that's anyone who feels me, who vibes with me, catches my frequency, you'll be cool, and you'll be encouraged to do for yourself what you see me doing for myself.
Okay, I like that. So before we get into the interview, give us a little background as to where you're from, your age, all that good stuff that a lot of people don't know.
From Boston, Massachusetts. I am 30, smooth 30.
Okay.
But it's almost like 100 years old in my mind though. So trying to piece that all together with a young frame is difficult. And especially at this time in society where it's information and technology trying to dictate how we act, think, feel, and behave. So all of that is residing in Boston, and I do what I do, whether it's writing poetry or any kind of synopsis research or music. It's for encouraging mental and devotional health. And I get my philosophy from within the Bible, which I've been studying for the past 9 years, thoroughly and in depth, strictly Bible only, and translating the context in the language from the English to the Hebrew or Greek, and then back from Hebrew and Greek into English, just to get a better handle on that philosophy.
Okay. I like the fact that you say you studied it inside and out, because I have an issue with the so-called church, okay, and its followers and things of that nature. It's not really my thing anymore. I mean, been there, done that. But the reason I say that is because a lot of people haven't read that whole book, and I've seen pastors and, you know, all of them get in the pulpit, and it sounds like they all read from the same thing, because there's some dark, gruesome stuff in that I, you know, read or whatever, and some things, and I'm like, why they don't stand up in the pulpit and read this or say that? And it's like they just try to keep it like, oh, Jesus was such a loving. No, he was a revolutionary. Okay,
for sure.
He wasn't gonna let you smack him in his face, and people like, oh, I just turned the other cheek because that's what, my God, what it is, you know. And it's like, did you read that book thoroughly to understand it was a revolution?
It's different. So what you're saying is, it's like touching on the issue. And the issue that I found as I've studied the Bible is that there are two characters. There's the character that is created that we call Jesus, the person that we're made to think of as the passive, loving, self-sacrificing, to the point of nonsensical sacrificing for other people, to the point where you don't have to do anything anymore because I've done it for you. And so you too can live ignorantly and still be forgiven for it, and still be in a place after you die with other people that have done, it's the story. But the reality is that, was what you said, there was a man, and this man was a rabbi in the Jewish priesthood. And what he found was revolutionary, and he preached what he found. And the doctrine that he found is what got him killed. And so after he died, there was a whole lot done to this man, to where he was translated into a God-man being that never was. So it was sort of like, to disrespect the legacy that the real man had, the Jews created a religion to promote whatever they wanted to promote. So it's like a diversion. So when you're sitting in church and you're hearing preachers preach, because I myself have heard them say that they do not believe what they're saying. Most of them that I've spoken to, they do not believe what they're preaching.
Right.
So it's just a story. It's a script that they have to follow because they're trained in that script from seminary. You know, seminary is a deep word, to where it just goes back to the foundational word, semen. And so the seminary is implanting a specific code of language or philosophy inside of minds that are going through it. And then when you come out of it, you can only talk about the sphere or spectrum of what you've been through. And they do not teach the Bible in seminary. So all the people I've spoken to, they all tell me the same thing. I don't feel comfortable when I go to church. I feel like something's missing when I go to church. I don't feel like I'm doing anything right when I go to church. And the list goes on. And it's because it's not about the Bible. It's basically like everything else. It's a business. It's a business with its own philosophy. And a business with its own philosophy that's making a profit off of a real man that they've manipulated.
Okay, please speak. Please. I'm trying to tell you, because people don't see. And I just be feeling like, am I the only one that's paying attention to what's going on? And that is I just know.
You like my soul, my soul.
I'm just, oh my goodness. And then another thing is, people feel like they need somebody to tell them what that book is about.
Yeah.
When you have it at home, and growing up, when I was a child, when I was forced to go into that building, my mother, she always told me and my siblings, read it for yourself. You don't need to go to no building, none of that, or let man tell you nothing. 'Cause man will lead you blind. So you gotta know that thing for yourself. Because if you don't know it, you just piggyback riding off of what everybody else say. And then when a person like myself or you come at them, it's like, what you talking about? I'm stuck, you know. But I've read it. It doesn't resonate with me, but I don't knock who does, you know. So, but
it's language.
You gotta read it for yourself.
Yeah, it's language and it's context. And the way that the book is written, it's not written as we would read it in a Western context. So the minds that wrote it are Eastern. So to really get the depth of it, you have to go into the language and understand the Eastern mind of philosophy. By doing that, you can get the definition of terms. You'll see all the bloodiness, all the goodness. It'll all make sense when language and context is interpreted. Because you're absolutely right the way that it's preached. And if we're going to just read it as a book like it was a novel, then we're not doing that right, because it's not a novel. It's a book of wisdom. And it's written specifically in Hebrew parallelism, and so it has to be dissected and interpreted according to that. Anything outside of that, and we have Christian, or we have a Bible mimicking religion, and that's just not healthy. And it's not my intention to say that. It's just that my reason for studying the Bible leads me into fact within it. And so as I'm seeing that fact, I have to say what isn't fact so that I can get to really what my reason is. So the reason for me is love, the definition of love. What is the definition of love? Because I went through some things that had me questioning, how come I didn't have this knowledge within myself? And how come I wasn't taught it? How come I don't see it? How come I've never felt it? How come I can't even look and see if it's being done for me? So what led me to rather abuse myself instead of looking at myself and saying, our heart and our mind love you, meaning me. My heart and my mind love me. Why couldn't I say that? And so I went into the Bible after looking at different philosophies and stuff that didn't really make sense. The Bible's philosophy was, I opened it and I said, if you are real, prove yourself to me. So prove that you're real, because at this point, I'm ready to die. And what I learned was real, and the proof I couldn't deny. And everything that I learned from that experience, I wrote, and that became my first book, Perfecting and Reforming Personal Religion. So like everything you're saying, learning from experience, the philosophy in the Bible is about personal philosophy, your personal daily practice engraved into your heart and mind, so you're not going back and reading, thou shalt not do this. Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to do that. Or I need to wear this across my neck so I can feel like I'm a part of that pledge. You don't need that around the neck. It's about personal, inward. The words are to be engraved on our heart and mind. And that's the reason I continue to learn that philosophy. It just so happens that as I learn, I pick up and understand that what is being taught isn't real. So I can show why it's not real. I can show how it's not relevant. I can show why it's obsolete at this point. And I can actually show you the real, better side of what the Bible teaches. Okay, because the Bible isn't religion. The Bible actually says to stay away from religion to get you and your mind right, devotionally.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Now, what you saying that, do you think that with the whole, okay, what the Bible says and their followers with voodoo, hoodoo, witchcraft, all of that. Do you think that it has more in common? A lot of people don't. Okay, I'm trying to word it a certain way. Let me break it down to what I'm saying. To me, I feel like it's all in common, and it's all about what it is for you and what it does for you and how you interpret it. Because the same way how it's say in the Bible and the Quran and all of that about this man, he makes things happen in mysterious ways, this, that, and the third, and you pray to him. And then you have over here voodoo, witchcraft, all of that. People have different deities that they pray to and that bring things, not pray, but they conjure them and they write petitions and things of that nature. Yep. It goes hand in hand. Yep. So my thing is, why demonize it? It's about what works for you, and what they can identify with. Some people read the Bible, I can't identify with that person. But you read something in voodoo, witchcraft, that makes sense. Or even with Luciferians, they are, the way that they live, they're peaceful beings. And they're not all about hate and judging and things of that nature. Them loving life, So, do you think that, way how I just broke that down, do you think those go all hand in hand, but it's what works for you?
It generally, in a sense, whether it's Christian or Quran or Islam or Muslim or Luciferian, it's religion, and it depends on, I guess, to say what you're saying, what works for you, it's more like what religion works best for you. Because no matter where you go to, as I think you were saying, I took it as being the foundational theme. It's all the same.
Yeah,
there's no difference, and
it's just different names.
Yeah,
that's it. It's the same thing. It's like you traded one God for another.
Yep,
but it's the same God,
and it's the same, and that's true, because even in the Bible says that there are two specific philosophies, and you can tell one is true, one is a true philosophy, and one is a false philosophy. So the false philosophy is a religious foundation that's based on the individual doing rituals, baptisms, ceremonies, and having particular feasts on particular days and seasons, followed by commandments of what to do and what not to do, and things of that nature that control the will of the human being. And that by controlling the will, the human being is then more seen as holy or just, and in a sense attributing that holiness or justness to a specific being or deity or figure. This is the false philosophy, which all of religion follows. Doesn't matter what you name, it's the false philosophy. On the other hand, the true philosophy is dissecting who you are with your experience, plus the specific counsels and wisdoms that you pick up from the living God, to the point where you are a written document. You're no longer following a document, and you're not being dictated an experience. You are the experience, and you're living free from that experience. So when it comes to that world of religion, it depends on how free you want to be based on what deity you want to serve. Which deity makes more sense to your heart. On the other spectrum, it's not about what deity makes sense to your heart. It's about what practical application can fit with your life and with your mind and with the potential you see yourself reaching.
I totally agree.
And that's why I love the philosophy in the Bible, because the Bible teaches that the counsels and the diet, mental and spiritual diet and devotional diet that it gives, it gets you away from religion and the wall that's there stopping you from mental and spiritual liberty, gets you through that wall and into a realm where you can be you devotionally, industrially, emotionally, inwardly, and for the good of the people around you, near and far.
That is true. So let's switch it up a bit. Let's talk about your books that you've written, because I see that you have written 6 books. Can you share with all the listeners and viewers and tell us, when did you realize that you wanted to be a writer, and what inspired you?
That's tough because, or maybe not tough. I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always written. Even starting at the age of 17, I started writing poetry and getting what I believe to be true out. And so, like, just following that, by the time I reached like 18, 19, 20, I was working with a writing company and I wrote a novel for them. And that was a good experience, and that made me want to write my own novel. But going through that experience and then passing through a little bit of difficulty in my life, causing me to question the definition of love, I began to redirect my attention, I guess my genre for writing. And that motivation that I originally had, plus the reason and the search for love, is where I'm at now. So when I write, it's peaceful, and my mind is engaging with my own self, and I'm engaging other selves, not simply through mindless writing like what I was doing before. But this writing is deep, thoughtful, mindful, and creating, causing the reader to create, to envision creating, and to leave whatever I've written, whatever they read from me, and to engage themselves with their environment, with their atmosphere, and to envision a better life, whether it is something small, whether it is something large, to envision a better life and to know that we're all born for a reason and to get to that reason. So like writing for me, writing is everything. Even when I'm not writing a book or poetry, I'm like writing to myself, to talk to myself, to get the answers to what I need questions to within myself. And I look at what I write and then I rewrite the answer to what I just read and just keep that going so that I can figure me out while I'm trying to figure out this thing called life.
Okay. Now let's talk about your new book, Growth.
Yes.
It is a poetry book about getting and being tuned in with self, correct?
Yep.
And having self-love.
Yep.
Can you go more in depth and explain what growth is all about?
Growth is the individual soul and mind coming to love that same individual thought and feeling. So you have soul and mind in a relationship and wanting to marry thought and feeling within the same individual. And that's what growth is about. It's about the character coming to love, understand, respect, appreciate, and lovingly conflict with the thoughts, the feelings, the actions, and the behaviors. And each poem shows my 9-year journey in going through all of that. And the female is my mind, and the male is my heart. And through that, seeing that dialogue, you can just see the disconnect and the connect between the two. And that's really what the whole book is. The whole book is the struggle, the journey, the joy, the sorrow of what it means to first love you.
Okay, interesting. Well, I already told you yesterday I'm getting my copy, so.
You did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So with that being said, with how you just broke it down, since you've written this book about growth, what process did you take to break certain habits within yourself and in your daily life?
I'll tell you one important one. In the Bible, there's a counsel that says no meat. Stop eating meat. And the Bible, because it's not firstly a natural book, the Bible is a book on spiritual understanding or philosophy, inward philosophy. So the primary context that everything in the Bible is written firstly is inwardly. And being inwardly, it's not physical, it's more mental. So reading to quit meat, firstly, or in the truest sense, I found to discover is to quit the meats or the idols or the substance, the key substance in my heart. So when I can look at myself and I can analyze myself and I can say, what is the meat in my life? What gives my life nutrition? And if that nutrition is unhealthy, I need to quit that meat and I need to just abstain from it or refrain from practicing it, thinking about it, possessing it, doing anything with it. I need to let that meat go. That was a key first principle that I learned, and putting that into practice. Of course, it's dietary, mental and inwardly dietary. So there is a struggle, an internal struggle, which is far worse because you're conflicting with maybe 19 years of use of something, or you're dealing with 65 years of a belief, and now you have to let that belief go after all that time. Or after 19 years, you have to let that lifestyle practice or habit go.
I've
So
tried.
letting that pass, and also keeping in mind a level of faith that what you're doing, you're going to receive abundance of experience, which is abundance of knowledge, which is going to be translated into an abundance of code for you to live by. And that's basically one thing that I learned that helped me quit the meat that is not serving you mentally or inwardly. That's not allowing your heart to be clean blood into your life. Let that go, get that out of your stomach, and possess yourself in an activity that is better. Think about what is better. So when you don't have that meat, now you have to think. You can't just go to something that's simple, plain there, and already heated up. Now you have to think about how to cook for yourself on a daily basis. And it's that practice of cooking, not physically, mentally, or devotionally. That practice of cooking, of examining, of dissecting, of implementing, practicing, taking note, failing at, learning why, retracing, triumphing. That whole routine gets you away from that meat and onto a cleaner diet, cleaner palate for living.
You know, I've tried to cut off meat, but you know what? I've cut off the beef. I stopped eating the beef. I just eat the chicken and I eat the turkey. I don't eat pork. I don't mess with that filthy thing. But it's
in your heart first. The meat in your heart first. Like, what is unhealthy in your heart first? To take that out first.
True, that too. Because a lot of that can play in your health. And then that plays a part with depression and mental issues and things of that nature.
Because then by then, physically, you don't care. If your mind isn't good, physically, you're going to abuse yourself. So if you can't, the diet, get that straight within, you're not going to care about the diet without.
But what if your mind is good, but your belly just won't?
That's the fight.
It's like the mind is like, you don't need this. But the tongue, the belly area, it's like, ooh, that smells so good. Like I need it. But it's a struggle. I'm getting there. Slowly but surely. I've come a long way.
For sure, it's not going to happen overnight, or a human being is not meant to just quit something immediately, especially when we get so used to habit into what feels good and to what feels easy. It's difficult.
Yes, you are so right. Now, if you had the opportunity to live anywhere in the world for a year while writing a book that took place in that same setting, where would you choose?
Man, I'm gonna have to think pre-COVID-19.
I know, right?
Because I would honestly say Rome, Italy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why those places?
Because first is the history. I love the history of Rome. I love the spirit of Rome. Not the tragic spirit, the warrior triumphing spirit. And I love the beauty of the landscape, the everything, the environment, the culture, they're relaxed, it seems. For a reason, I'd love to understand why. Everybody lives different. And their way of living, it's just interesting. So that way, their way of living, plus the environment, the scene, plus what I love of the history, it would just be ridiculous to me.
Okay, explain the way of their living, because I've never visited Rome.
I haven't either.
Oh, okay.
It's just when I look at cultures or I read something about cultures, you see that they educate children different, or the way that they interact with one another, or you see shops on the street and you see what they do and you read about how they interact, you just go, that's just a different way of living. And I would want to just experience that while writing.
Okay. Wow. Maybe one of these days you might have to go there and write a book on it.
Right? I would too.
Be dope. And then you can partake in the way how they live and do some of the things and put it in your book too. That'd be dope.
Because then I could grow, because all I know is this constraining, mentally depleting Western society and educational institution, which is global, but at the same time that seeps into the household. It can control the household, and then the household dictates how the child should live. And in my experience, the child forgets who they are to live as either how the society says they should live, or how the parents say that the child should live.
So true.
But you go into these other places, and children are raised differently. They're taught different things in the home. There's a way that a boy is taught to be a man in Greece or Paris or somewhere that's not like here. Or a girl is trained and prepared to be a wife and a woman in like another area of this world. So going and experiencing that, I can take what I got here and I could take what I get there, and I could create my own universe for the family that I will have eventually.
And you know what? It's so rare that you just brought that up about the way of life in different areas versus here. Because here, like, I seen a post on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and it was two little girls dancing with each other. Now, mind you, in certain cultures, you know, they dance together, and a lot of people here in North America talking about, oh, that's gay, and that's sex, you know, symbolism and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, it's you're the sick one, because the way how you're looking at them two little girls dancing, you know. And that's the way how a lot of people dance in Spanish cultures and stuff. And it's not nothing nasty or gay or, you know, nothing like that. It's just that way. And people just kill me over here because it's you sick fucks. Excuse my language, but you know, it's the way how things is over here. Everything is sexualized here and overrated, and I can't.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, family, you know, family life is, you go into these other countries and there's pressures. Of course there's pressures, but the pressures are different. There's the pressures of a boy to be a man. And so the way that man is to be once being a boy, it's going to be different from here. Where here, it's just confused. Like, we don't know what to be as males and as females right now because society is going in one direction. We're taught another thing in school. We've got a philosophy at home. We've got parents who are telling us to be this way, but they themselves have not attained to what they're saying to be. So we don't have an example to see what to be. All we have is what we think. And our environment sometimes can trap us. And if we're not strong enough mentally, we don't have an outlet to be able to hone who we are, to get out of the environment, to create an environment that we can call our own. You go somewhere else and the whole scheme of life is just different. Of course, there's going to be a struggle everywhere and a struggle with living everywhere. But that struggle is not the Western struggle. The Western struggle is a European mind state, which is the religion of evolution, the so-called survival of the fittest through reproduction, which is an odd philosophy where you have to lose yourself in order to capture the selves of others so that you can have a better self temporally, forgetting your inward. You go to these other places and these other worlds and you're seeing that the inward is cared for. Man is taught how to care for a boy, and boy can be taught how to care for himself, to be a man and to pass that down. And the structure of what is important is different once you get out of this Western mind. And so to go into a place, even though the same things travel, the Western mind is now the universal mind, but at the same time, every country, it has its own culture and way of life. In some place in my mind, I see Rome, I see, from what I've read, and from the pictures, I know reading in pictures, that's really nothing, but still, it's encouragement to go and discover for yourself, to see if what you see is true of the piece that is there, and to compare it and to weigh it, and then to grow as a person. Because what we're seeing here, it's too many youth. I speak to too many, especially females, 14, 15, 16, that talk about suicide. And so this culture that we have right now, and it's now slowly turning into a technocracy, a war on information plus a technocracy where they want to control us through technology. It's destroying who we are, not simply as human beings, but also devotional creations to the living God. So to see other cultures and to be in that atmosphere, to write in that atmosphere, to eat in that atmosphere, to laugh in that atmosphere, to sleep, to swim in that, to walk in that atmosphere, is for me to just see in a way what I thought I knew, and so that I can know something better, to create a more elastic environment for myself internally, and also for the family that I will have.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's deep. Now, picture this. You feel uninspired and you sat at the computer for an hour without conjuring any word. I said conjuring. Conquering any word. How do you get your creativity flowing?
To break that, my number one thing to do is exercise. I love exercising because it's just release stress, release for imagination. And when I do exercise, I do it to feel a sense of ownership, both of my health and also of thought. So exercising, it liberates my mind. The next thing I do is go and I sit by the water. I love water, and I love listening to the sound of water.
Me too. And cancer.
Right to the point where I just get absolutely jealous of water because I'm looking at it and I'm seeing its organization, I'm seeing its flow, and I'm wondering, what knowledge do you have that I don't? And how come you have it and I don't? Yeah, you've been along for quite some time and I haven't, but I need to catch up to you. So I just sit and I watch and I listen, and that's just inspiration to write also.
Yes, I love it. Just being in nature.
Yeah.
Hearing nature.
Yeah.
It just does something to me. And I feel the same way with water like you do. Yep. Because what was it? Last weekend, I want to say, or the weekend before last, me and my siblings, we all came together. And I swear the water was talking to me. It was looking so good. And
swear can hear you.
Yes. And I was like, oh, but I believe in Mama. Yeah. I'm like, she's the mother of the waters. And I'm like, oh, I hear you. You just sound so beautiful. And someone was just telling me to put my feet in that water. I put my feet in that water. And my feet was hurting so bad. My feet felt so much better after that. Mm-hmm. I just love nature.
Yep.
And just being in it and hearing it, and it just gives you inspiration. You know,
it does,
and it quiets the mind. You know, when you got so much going on, and that's why I like going to visit my mother down south, because she got all this land, and all you hear is nature. And just to get away from the city, it's like so calming, and I can think, I can hear. And I just love it.
I do. I love it. And you said something that just reminded me of another reason why I love it. Because you look at all of that and you see a beauty of all of that. And it's just not enough to be like, wow, a God created this, so I'm going to love God too. That's not like the point. The point is that it's there for us to see. And if this is created, that should let us know that we also have to be created too. If there's organization that's living, every season it dies and comes back and resurrects and gives us a new beauty. We too have to know that we have to go through many resurrections to get to many new beauties inside of us. So like when I'm in just sitting looking at the water, I'm also thinking of if the Creator put an intelligence into the atmosphere to part and to create what I'm seeing, then that same Creator has put a substance inside of me with particles for me to be a creation, and I'm not going to be what I am right now. That's why I love it even more.
And it just angers me when people want to tear down the trees and just do stuff to the water. I just leave it alone. Please let nature be nature. Leave the animals alone. They're not bothering you. They're in their own habitat. People want to take them out their habitat and make them pets and like let them be. Let them be free.
It's tough.
I hate it. I do. That's why I'm like, you know what? They need people like that have no respect for nature. They need to just die.
Oh man, you have no words. You just shrink. Right to death.
Okay? No, because they're not messing with you. Leave the trees alone. Leave the animals alone. Leave it all alone. Stop tampering with the water. Like, leave it alone. They're not messing with you. Leave the fish alone. All of that.
Oh no, it's game. It's human nature getting in the way. Not realizing that they're creations. You think they're creators.
Couldn't have said it no better. Yes. Okay, let's get back into it. Do you feel like it's most important to have A, strong characters, B, mind-blowing plot twists, or C, epic settings when you write?
I'm gonna scratch C off, because although settings play the course, A and B, you can do a lot with that. And to me, when I write, outside of my research and I just storytelling or poetry, my characters in the plot, I love language, I love context, and I love being my characters, or having my characters as a language and a context themselves. So for me, I'm A and B straight through.
Okay. Now, who is one of your favorite all-time poets and authors?
All time, I don't dabble that much with poetry, but my inspiration for poetry comes from Psalms. So I'm gonna say David. David is my leading. Love his flow, the depth, and the intellect to every single word that is in there. Outside of the Bible, I'm gonna have to say Alice Walker, because as Alice Walker speaks, she speaks plainly, but in a way that's philosophical and thoughtful. And the way that she gets her point across, it's so sharp. It's so beautiful. It's so cutting, to the point where you want to take up cutting your own heart for it to bleed, so that it can be sewn up with whatever you're reading her say. And that's what whenever anybody reads my work, I want them to feel too. To feel that same cutting growth, that same cutting regeneration whenever they read anything from me. So I would say first and most of course, David, the writer, the psalmist. And then I love Alice Walker. Alice Walker's delivery and approach, it's just, man, perfect.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Good one. All right. Now, how do you think being a writer has helped you as a person?
A lot. Because each and every single one of us is a character. And we don't really know who that character is because we're told who to be, either from parents or from society. So to sit down with the character that I am is for me to grow into a respect for who I am. And so as I'm writing, whether it's personal or for the public, whatever you're reading or I'm reading from me, it's about me learning the young man and the old man and the new man that I am, so that I can be better wholly, entirely. So writing is, if there's a word for above therapeutic, like that's what writing is. It's therapeutic advanced. And so like for me personally, I'm just the kind of person that just needs it. I need it for personal growth because I analyze myself, and I love to grow up from past thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and actions. And if I can't catch it outwardly, when I sense it, I can write about it, and I can see it. And as I visualize it, I can tame it. And that can be an assignment for the next week or for the next 2 days. And so like that development, personal development plus self-possession is, to me, what writing is all about, whether it's in creativity or analysis or reflection. It's self-possession for, industry, practical industry that's useful.
Okay. Now, as a Black man in this day and age with all this chaos that has been going on, from this virus and having to cover your face, to brothers and sisters getting gunned down for no reason, how have you been coping and trying to live?
It's a different world. It's racism is an institution that, to get rid of it, you have to attack the philosophy. And this pandemic, it's there's been pandemics before, but how we're handling it is not correct, the way we're going about it. Like, for example, I saw in Philadelphia a couple months ago, somebody getting pulled off of a bus because they didn't have a mask on. So that's kind of like where we're at right now. And this environment, as a young Black male, young Black female, it doesn't get easier because there's already a bias. So you add that in and you factor in, for me, the need for growth inwardly. I just sidestep, the word Black bugs me because the word Black means abysmal. It means absent of light. It means devoid of good. So to associate a people with that, it's like that people is absent of light, absent of dark, absent of good. So when I see the movements and the marches, it just makes me think of Malcolm X. And how Malcolm X just wanted, what he preached was Black nationalism for the people who call themselves Black or who want to call themselves African Americans, to take their own communities and to take their own stores, take their own schools, just like all other skinned folks from other countries that come here, and rule them intelligently and own them and let the money flow. And it's difficult in this age because what we're going through is all of us, despite the race, we're being locked down. Like, they're enforcing an agenda that's not being based on race. It's more of ideology. So that's like a really tough question to answer.
So let me ask you this, with you saying that the way how the government is going about it.
Yeah.
Now, in the good book, it says, obey your earthly masters. And obey those in power within government, right?
Yep.
So, how you feel about that? Touching on that.
It's tough because in the language that's there, it's not traditionally for, I guess, normal people. The writing there, as for example, Paul writes in the book of Romans, to pay respect and give due diligence to the higher powers, because the higher powers are appointed of God. And if you're not going to respect the higher powers, expect a judgment. It's in respect to also normal citizens. Paul is writing to ministers. So there's a fine line between that, which you really can't, depending on the situation, do, which is why you have to be a little bit careful. And so when it comes to that, that's why, like, a revolution of what's going on right now, when you add into the fact of this age being an age of information and philosophy, whatever's going down, there has to be a voice, and the poet, the writer, has to be that voice to insert a different culture than what's being put in. So yes, in the Bible it does say what it says about government, but at the same time, I'll just tell you the story, quick summary of the Hebrews that were sentenced to die by Nebuchadnezzar. The the God of these people told them that if they didn't obey Nebuchadnezzar, that Nebuchadnezzar would have the right to kill them. And Nebuchadnezzar heard of these ministers in his, circle that were not obeying the circle's rules along with everybody else, and he sentenced them to die by fire. And they didn't die by fire, and it surprised him. And the reason that they didn't die by fire, when you go and look at the language within that story, is because that they were not willing to sacrifice their conscience to Nebuchadnezzar, who symbolizes the state or the government. So because they weren't ready to give their conscience away to what the government or the state wanted, they were preserved and they were protected. And by the end of that record, even the king Nebuchadnezzar says that these individuals were protected because they were not willing to serve any other god but their own. So when it comes to government, it may say that, but the philosophy within the Bible says that do not follow anything that is contrary to your conscience. You're either going to die for your conscience, or you're going to let your conscience be manipulated.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, not only are you an author, but you are also a musician.
Right.
Your new song, Two Lovers.
Yep.
Explain to our listeners and viewers, what is that song all about?
My writing, just like my book of poetry Growth, it's coming from two perspectives. There's a real life perspective, and then there's a meaning within it. So the whole song is about me still within my own self, courting and loving and fraternizing with my heart and my mind in a very playful sense. So that's the main aspect. And added into that are also life experiences.
Okay. Now, when creating music, aside from writing your books, what is your creative process like when it comes to your music?
Feeling. That's the foundational creating process. For me, whether it's poetry or music, I deal with them the same way. Or I should say, poetry and writing lyrics. It's based on emotion, feeling, and trying to make sense of what I feel so that I can creatively get that feeling across, but with also a lesson inside of it for me and whoever hears it.
Okay. Now, who are some of your who inspire you artist-wise? People that you look up to, people that you heard and was like, you know what? I want to do that because XYZ did it. Whoever.
Yeah. It was going way back. I'm going to say this name wrong, but Frankie Limon. His music from, I think it's the 50s or 60s.
Oh wow, you really going back. Okay. I like it. I love it.
I'm so butchering that timeline. I really hope I'm not. But Frankie Limon, from back then, just that style. And then you come down into my time, of course it was Tupac.
Yeah.
Not simply
You know what? When I heard your music, when you sent it to me, that's who I was seeing and hearing.
It's weird because
I was like, yo, you put me in the bottom.
No, I was hoping not, because when anybody hears me, they say like Kendrick Lamar or something. And the funny thing is, I've never even heard. I don't know who that is.
Really?
Yeah, I don't listen to music like that. I stopped listening to music and I just write. And so like how it sounds, I guess that's just how it sounds.
You know what? I'm with you on that part as far as listening to music. I mean, even though I have to,
Yeah.
Because I'm a radio host and I got a radio station. But today's music, I can't. I like my old school hip hop when it first started. LL, Queen Latifah, KRS-One. You know, people like that, Big Daddy Kane, all of that.
Yeah.
And up to my era when I was younger, Nas, Jay-Z, you know, people like that. And today, I don't know.
But I would say, even with that, like my inspiration, if I had to break down the coast, because there's a southern style, northern style, eastern style, western style. I've always been drawn to the West Coast style. Like, whether it's instrumentals, hip hop, jazz, like the West Coast flavor, it's my ear. My ear loves West Coast flavor.
Yeah, I got love for the West Coast. They don't be out there, West Side. Like, West Side. Gotta hit y'all with pop. West Side, nigga. Like, no, but I love all genres of music. But for today's hip hop, well, I ain't even gonna call it hip hop, but you do have some dope artists of today, like J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, D Smoke. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
No.
He was on some show with T.I. and all of them. And it's some good conscious rappers, you know. But
I think it was J. Cole. They said I sounded like
J. Cole. Yeah, J. Cole though.
But I don't know him. I've never heard.
You gotta listen to some of his stuff. Drake, he good. You know, I ain't gonna shit on Drake. Drake good, but nah, J. Cole, he the one. He's good. He's real good. Take a listen to Kendrick Lamar. You'll like him. Trust me. You'll like them in the message that they be sending out.
I think that's the thing. The message.
Yeah. And it's no message nowadays in music, really, other than being a hoe, shaking your ass, and, you know.
But that's how it's always been, but it's like now worse.
It's okay to be a hoe. It's okay to sell your poo-poo and you ain't gonna get this unless you pay my bills, and I am a job. I don't need a job. You know, like, what? Who? I'm done. I stopped with all of that, because I used to love Lil' Kim back when I was younger. And I still love her. You know, even though she's not doing much with the music anymore like how she was back then.
Back in the 90s,
yeah. What? She had it locked. And I was all for that, you know. But I interpret it in a way like, you ain't using me. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays, it's basically like, I don't know. It's like they took it to a whole nother level that I just cannot get with. I can't.
Like, if I listen to it, it can't be about lyrics because there's no lyrics now. So for me, it's about frequency and vibe. And I like the vibe of X, Tentacion. Like, his frequency was real. And even though he didn't really say anything meaningful, like, there's intellect in the way that he would move his voice to get a certain feeling out of you. And he knew, and he was cognizant of that. And I respect that. So, like, if I could say anything modern, I would say he's good. Just because of the vibe and the intellect within what he did. But I stopped listening to any kind of music like that back in 2010. So I really haven't been kept up.
I think that's when it kind of died. You know, it started taking a left turn after that. Who came out in 2010? I think Miguel. I think that's because I'm a Miguel fan. I don't know if you listen to him.
I don't know.
Oh, well, I love Miguel. He's from LA. And I think I stopped with him with the whole hip hop and R&B. After that time, started going somewhere
went down.
else. It did. And I'm just like, I can't get with it. I can't.
It's tough. I can't either. And it's funny because what they're doing now, like, and I actually dug a little bit of research, is mumble rap. Like back in the day, way back in the day, when blacks were just getting on television, the way that blacks used to speak was through mumbling. They used to mumble their words, and they used to have these black actors who vied for that role and that took on that role, and they spoke in that mumbled speech that whites depicted them as. And now here we are, and it's what they call mumble rap, and we don't really know that it's just a form of the racist institution that exists. Like, it's just being refashioned. And it's crazy when I think about it. It's just amazing.
It's real, and it's still going on, and a lot of people don't look at it like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Even when some of these celebrities be trying to tell people, like, this ain't what you want, like, I'm a slave for real. I'm not buku rich like how you see they provide this to me when it's necessary to put on a show for y'all,
Yeah.
And they don't know.
We don't. Like, we don't.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And by me saying that, which of these two routes that I'm about to give you, do you think it's better for an unknown artist?
Okay.
Is it to be signed or be independent? What you think is better?
Oh, right now. All right, I'll tell you both, because I go through this same thing with publishers as an author. It's better to be signed because there's already connections there. So you're able to get yourself off of the ground a whole lot faster because of the connections that are available. But at the same time, you have to give up a bit of your conscience or a bit of yourself in order to please the people that have the connections, so that you can get those connections. So you're losing you while at the same time gaining material and gaining publicity. On the other hand, there is the self route, as you said, and it's going to be a whole lot more difficult because you have to create your own connections, and you also have to get trashed before you can come across any sort of good connections. So the route is more difficult because you're building your connections, but at the same time, you're keeping your conscience, your message, your own look and demeanor, while gaining a fan base and having your own brand. So I would say, for the kind of mind I have, and whoever has my kind of mind, go self route, because it's about your brand, right? It's about your brand. It's about your level of consciousness reaching other human beings with that same consciousness, and at the same time keeping your conscience intact, not relinquishing your conscience to the desires and the pressures of a publisher or a signing, just because you need connections and material to get to where you need to be. The grit is worth the success in the end, and I can say that. The hardship, the confusion, the crying, and the hard feeling, it's all worth it, because you realize that you get to that fan base that will then take care of you, even though they've never seen you in your life. They'll take care of you because they vibe with you, and they'll support you. And that fan base and that brand, that's what carries you into after when you're dead, as opposed to the signing or the publisher depicting a particular image of you that they want you to be after you're dead. Now doing it by yourself, you can have that brand and you can have that image, it can last, and you never go away into what somebody else wants you to be. They will always no longer remember you. Yeah, they will always remember you, not just who you was, but you're still relevant even when you're dead. And that's the point of life. That's the point of the creating to understand that there is a creator, to know the being and the personal welfare that we have to go through in order to get to where we need to be. So keep, if you're unsigned, if you're unknown, like keep to you and to your brand. Keep focused on who you are and what you are, and that fan base, that brand, it will support you. You know, the energy we put out, it's stored, and when it comes time, that energy rains down love on us, and everything falls intact. Connections, dots, and be taken care of.
I'm with you on that. I'm all for self, because this day and age, I don't need nobody tarnishing my brand, my message, because I'm not that girl. I'm not gonna get on TV shaking my ass and showing, look, I got a little meat on me, okay, honey? You not gonna see me getting up there showing my big behind and all that stuff. No, I'm not degrading myself. That's degrading. And a lot of women don't see that. Like, it's degrading. I mean, I get it. Yes, love yourself, love your body. But
yeah,
to just sex. Every, you know, like, no, not for me. That's my opinion. Some women and men might be like, what the hell are you talking about? You know, but
I'm the same.
No, some things are meant to be behind closed doors and lead to an imagination. You know, because if I'm showing you everything, you ain't got nothing to look forward to, because you already done seen what it is that you want.
Yeah.
You know, I like to be a mystery. You don't know what the hell you're gonna get. You know, you're like, oh, she look like she's just so nice and quiet. Honey, you don't have no idea.
Then it flips when everything's off. It flips.
Okay. So that's why I'm like, I prefer to be independent and build my own brand the way how I want it to be, and the way how I want my lyrics to be projected. Do it my way.
And especially, like, since we're in the age of social media, the connections are good, but it's an equal playing field now. It's just about effort, time, and diligence. Like, in this age that we're in, anyone could do anything and be everywhere. It's just about time, diligence, and energy.
Now, speaking about social media, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like it's overrated? I feel like it's too much. How do you feel about it?
I'm not a fan. I mean, I just got my Instagram after all this time, and only because of my being out there in the world now. So, like, to reach the people that aren't in the realm I'm in the world of religion or in the world of philosophy, just to reach minds, I joined and I just got my Instagram. And it's interesting. You really do meet a lot of people that have the same thoughts and even differing thoughts, and can have some decent conversations. It can change specific points of views, and you can also be enlightened. Yeah, I also do have a Facebook, and I don't even use that. I just got it for the business page.
Me neither. Welcome to the club. I hate social media. I really do, because it's just too much. People be doing too much on there for me. It's like, you want to broadcast your whole life. You want to, like, look, I'm about to kill myself, and everybody tweeting and writing and IGing whatever. And it's like, I don't know. It's like your own
it's a bit much.
Show.
It's a bit. It's actually funny how all of that will be put on social media, but you will never actually hear them in real life say that to someone who says that they love them. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, you know, I don't know. But for me, it's about just reaching minds putting something positive out there in that stream of social media.
Now, while we're still on social media, as an author and an artist, when it comes to pushing your material, do you find it as a hinder or as a gift for using social media? Do you think you understand what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
It's neither. Because at the end of the day, it's about trust. Like everybody buys jeans and everybody goes to the store to buy jeans. But if you just come out with a jean brand, I can guarantee you, like, nobody's gonna buy those jeans, no matter if you put it on your page or not, because it's about trust. So at the end of the day, when I think about social media and the impact of it, it has to be about intention. Like, what is your intention? Is your intention to sell, or is your intention to create a reason for someone else to buy? And that involves you putting out a quote-unquote why out there into the world for them to latch onto. And so I think that, in a sense, it's tough to do that because trust. It takes years to build trust with people and to develop a trusting brand with someone. So social media can get that done, and positively, it just takes time, energy, and diligence.
Do you think that by everything being open to social media, meaning whether you want to be an author, a musician, by everything being at your reach, any and everybody can post, any and everybody could put out albums, any and everybody could put out books, do you feel like in order for you to reach your goal that it's harder because there's so much competition versus how it was back then when just anybody couldn't put out, an album just like that, or
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in the pool of creators doing what you're doing, and to set yourself apart is tough because everybody's doing the same thing. So for me, I guess I'm lucky because the message that I have, it's in a world that's contrary to the world, but at the same time, the world is using the book that my world is using, and they're manipulating it. So what I'm saying is from what is within, but at the same time, it's going against what is without. And so the differentiation between you and the class has to be something that's not necessarily parallel, but counteractive and counterintuitive, and makes you want it because they're not doing what is needed. So when it comes to setting yourself apart, that's tough. Like, are you doing what is needed? Do you know what is needed? Because if you go to people are so unreliable. You can ask somebody or a field of people what they want. They'll get us 1,001 answers. But it's that one thing that your age is lacking. What is that one thing that your age is lacking that you're doing or can do that nobody else is doing? And that's what sets you apart. That's what makes everyone doing anything irrelevant, and you and what you're bringing stand out from my experience.
Okay. Now, I like to do something with my guest artists called One Artist to Another. Give me your top 5 R&B and your top 5 hip-hop artists of all time. It could be new or old school. Your pick.
Alright. I'm going to start with R&B because that might be more difficult. Number 1, oh man, anything I say here, death.
I know you got me wanting to know.
They're all number ones, even though they're all 1 to 5. So, I will say Michael Jackson, just based on my upbringing. Michael Jackson, I'll say, can they be groups?
Yeah, it could be groups.
Okay. All right. So you got Michael Jackson. You got Shy from the 90s. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay.
No
I'm
doubt.
liking your list so far.
No doubt. So Michael Jackson, Shy. I'll say Usher.
Okay, that was my first husband. That was. Go ahead.
And then I'm gonna say Brandy.
Yes. Okay.
I don't know if you would say she's R&B. Yeah, she's R&B. And then my last, I don't even know what you would call him, but I'll say Post Malone. If that's R&B, because he sings. I don't know what you call him.
Yeah, he's just in his own.
Yeah,
box.
yeah, he sings.
Yeah.
So he's that Shifty 5.
Okay. Wow, like your top 5. Okay.
And then for hip hop, number 1, Pac.
Yes.
Number 2, Eminem.
Okay.
Number 3, I'm gonna say Nas.
Yes. Okay.
Number 4, it's getting tough because ain't that much many. Number 4, I'll say Royce, 5'9".
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And then 5, I'll just say Snoop.
Okay. Good selection. So you like lyricists, people that saying something. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm with you on that. We here. We here with it. Face to face. Okay. Yes. I love it. In the next 5 years, where do you see yourself?
Next 5 years, number 1, owning a publishing company.
That's right.
Number 2, taking within the religious world a revolution to it based on knowledge and philosophy.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm with it. Okay. So what else more can we expect to see and get from you coming up and in the near future?
More poetry and more books of thought and of meditation and of excelling your personal and devotional self. So more of keeping my audience in tune, not with simply who they are, but with being in tune with the vibrations of the people around them through the philosophy that's in the Bible. And also music too. So even when I write lyrics or my poetry or anything that I do, the foundation is the basis of the Bible's philosophy of personal and devotional regeneration.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Linwood Jackson Jr., it has been a great honor to have you come by out with me, the one, the only K333 Ed Honey, here on KQX 108.4 FM and on my Queen of Space Entertainment Show. Do you have any shout outs you want to give out?
Not at all. Only shout out I have is to my God for blessing my life, my mind, and the vision that He's given me of what I can do on this planet.
All right now. Y'all heard it first. Well, y'all stay tuned and don't go nowhere, because as promised, here is Linwood Jackson's new singles. And after the first song we played, the second song we played. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. And if you know any up-and-coming artists, entrepreneurs, authors, and talented beings, please visit www.KQXSpotlight.com KQXFM.com. And for those that's watching, it's going to be right here on the screen, because the interview package, you'll get live interview on the radio, social media for the world to see and listen. Plus, if you're a musician and you have up to 3 songs that will not only be played live during your interview, but will also be put in rotation permanently with your favorite hip-hop, R&B, Caribbean, jazz artists, depending on the category of your song, and you will have it be placed. And for authors and entrepreneurs, by choosing the package, we will promote you and your business, books, etc. for free when you choose the interview package, all for $50, and you cannot beat that. So, with all that being said, I'm about to sign off. Until next time, peace, love, abundance, and prosperity to you all. Love y'all and have a good night. Peace.
Let it go and let your heart take over. Listen. Picture a call to send me to set free assemblies inside of me. This is everything I believed it would never be. Promised that I would need no one except me, and to see that I have receded. I'm hypocritical, can care less even. He's even beaming, he's geeking to see her, and the keeper, he will do anything, even if it means to leave what's here. She's interfered with the level endearment to a pair that she will do nothing against him, but will love him without fear. She isn't perfect, has been hurt and cautious since the turn of her relationship, and so to trust another man is work. And yet she doesn't reject when he does flirt, but gives it back, and even worse, she is assertive, so it hurts. She sought to get, but he got her with honest grit and nerve. She is a woman, but a person, he remembers her in terms that she defined to when she said she's in love with words. And I kinda turned it on her to make her my girl. And you can call it regardless of what it's not, and yeah, we aren't all of it, promise you we will not have failed. Just being honest, we talk, but it's not the end. I care about everything you think I don't, and when I'm not there. And you can call it regardless of what it's not, and yeah, we aren't all of it, promise you we will not have failed. Just being honest, we talk, but it's not the end. I care about everything you think I don't, and when I'm not there. You the same kind of bad as me, and there's something that's worth it to make it a purpose to do nothing wrong till you observe how two can come together to make it so work. That even though they are imperfect, it's learning how to take it that curves. And even though a part of me is started to depart, when you keep up an argument past the point of its no return, I lose my mind. That it's kinda like, what about this girl? Is it that drives me to remain beside her? There's something deserving, especially when I am the person who gets you mad first. I am a jerk and I'll say it cause I'm a man hurt, and you a version of me, so at war we are a terminator. But then later we make up to say never again, or and in the same form. Part of the problem is how we are, cause of our scars. It's hard to move on from what ought to make us stronger, and I know that now it is a lot. Don't ever stop, give us time and it'll drop. And you can call it regardless of what it's not, and yeah, we aren't all of it, promise you we will not have failed. Just being honest, we talk, but it's not the end. I care about everything you think I don't, and when I'm not there. And you can call it regardless of what it's not, and yeah, we aren't all of it, promise you we will not have failed. Just being honest, we talk, but it's not the end. I care about everything you think I don't, and when I'm not there. There ain't nothing so natural as when two can have what matters to them in a way they never thought would happen. And isn't it sad that differences can make us think so bad, when it's a fact imagination can take away what should have been captured. Two aren't half of the same if they always go backwards. Don't look so mad when I don't know what you think on average. I'm guessing that it's something awful that I've done, or what someone has said to make me want to snap when I'm is that sick. I am a canvas, part of the reason why I'm savage is the disappointment that I have of what I am. It's passive, yet it is damaging. It's so reactive that I'm having to constantly manage it. And then sometimes I don't know, that's when you get attacked and give it back even worse than I can. And so we add it until we tire of a fraction and realize that life is a magnet for what can bless and brandish. We are a tragic, only two lovers without practice. And you can call it regardless of what it's not, and yeah, we aren't all of it, promise you we will not have failed. Just being honest, we talk, but it's not the end. I care about everything you think I don't, and when I'm not there. And you can call it regardless of what it's not, and yeah, we aren't all of it, promise you we will not have failed. Just being honest, we talk, but it's not the end. I care about everything you think I don't, and when I'm not there.
All your favorite artists.
It's your girl Cardi B.
Right here.
What it do? It's your boy the baby.
What's up? It's Megan Thee Stallion.
KQX 108.4. Straight from the DMV. Music of the known and unknown.
Think about it, there ain't nothing you can do but to mouth it. And if you doubt it, count the casualties you go out with. You can't allow it, those voices saying keep it down in. You ain't know how then, you expect to get up and shout it. This ain't about friends, acquaintances, or a pestilence. Enemies are a delicate family they can't understand. This is in you, let it out and spark it to get a gram. And them that haven't had a chance, I'll never pardon it. Part of the reason all of it is partial is because of the product I've garnered. And it's alright if you wanna argue that my weakness is a target that is used against me. Nothing offends me unless you were bothered. Then it's always something new to starting, cause you always starving. Let's see who darts across the room, it's time to spark a problem. Don't hit me, I'm a father and right in front of my daughter. You know this isn't go solving. Last week ain't what we are now then. About that, remember when we weren't just friends, and so weren't to everything that the other mentioned and said. Love is infected with the buzzer, B couldn't understand, but now it's different. We talking underwater and sand. If it's a party you plan to make me stop following me tasks, this isn't happening. You've taken enough of me, it's sad. This isn't practical, your orbital is catching soup to knock you into an orbit you never knew was a root. And I'll feel it too, hit you, I hit me too. Think about it, there ain't nothing you can do but to mouth it. And if you doubt it, count the casualties you go out with. You can't allow it, those voices saying you keep it down in. You ain't know how then, you expect to get up and shout it. This ain't about friends, acquaintances, or a pestilence. Enemies are a delicate family they can't understand. This is in you, let it out and spark it to get a gram. And them that haven't had a chance, dare you to open your eyes, see what is wrong with inside. Can you stay silent when you know the silence sits in the sky? Imagine all of the faces if all you did was survive. You gotta die, or else what you want can sit aside. And you don't want it if you gotta go plead the fifth. You gotta see what it is, you gotta think before you give, before you risk all of it. What did you have before you thought to get all involved with what your heart envisioned to making it any different? To say what or where you slipped in or offended, no one will pick him, so long as he says he's a victim or she's a symptom. Falling in sheets innate with friction, love is attention is short as a span in hand with vengeance. And this is the average enactment of all who stand embarrassed of their own thought. But you are not what they are, and it's your fault if you do not aggravate what language they force on them raw. And take it on, knowledge above tradition's on, and saw it off. Take it, I burn that flesh is broad, expose that bloated fraud, show them that she is garbage. Think about it, there ain't nothing you can do but to mouth it. And if you doubt it, count the casualties you go out with. You can't allow it, those voices saying you keep it down in. You ain't know how then, you expect to get up and shout it. This ain't about friends, acquaintances, or a pestilence. Enemies are a delicate family they can't understand. This is in you, let it out and spark it to get a gram. And them that haven't had a chance. And you can call me a manic, someone depressed in his habit. Look out, this boy's a savage, and if these boots are made for walking, this misogynist has it. Look at him sass, speaking against what is fashion. Isn't he trash? Wanna talk about change, but it's a mirror saying fake. You ain't know any better, what is better is if you go fade away. Look around you, you ignorant mistake. They don't care if you're here or not, their faces are encased. Look at their smiles from what's violent. Can you convey what they are missing in a way to make them see they ain't safe? Get out my head, I'm about to break your face. These arms are yours and I'll cut them till blood runs out in cases. Rivers will cover ore, body in shape and form. Drowning it till we're gone, replacing what is torn. Never more to inform. Think about it, there ain't nothing you can do but to mouth it. And if you doubt it, count the casualties you go out with. You can't allow it, those voices saying you keep it down in. You ain't know how then, you expect to get up and shout it. This ain't about friends, acquaintances, or a pestilence. Enemies are a delicate family they can't understand. This is in you, let it out and spark it to get a gram. And them that haven't had a chance.